What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some basketball, Orlando Magic basketball. Today we're going to talk about what the Orlando Magic should do in the draft with the 5th and the 8th pick. Now, I know a lot of Magic fans like myself were upset after the draft lottery that we end up with only the 5th and the 8th pick. Of course, we got the 8th pick from the Chicago trade when we traded away Nikola Vucevic. But the 5th pick is our original pick, even though we finished in the end of the season as the third worst team, with tied with the number one odds to get the first pick and end up, and also with 52% chance of being in the top 4. We end up falling out of the top 4, and a lot of us were disappointed and kind of still are disappointed. But after doing a little research and doing a little thing I was doing a little draft prospect, I actually come up with, it might not be a terrible thing. It's still not the best option, because obviously the best thing is to be the first pick or the second pick. But it's still not it's not as horrible as I originally thought, because it's some options that the Magic do have via trades, and also if they end up staying with 5 and 8, who they can actually select. There's actually some good viable options, so I'm going to break it down exactly what the Magic should do. Now, obviously, the number one thing to do is to try to move up in the draft. You're not going to move up to number 1 Detroit. Detroit is going to stay number 1. They're going to take Cade Cunningham. Now, the Rockets, with the number 2 pick, there's a chance you can move it to the Rockets. Now, I know a lot of Rocket fans. I know a lot of them. A lot of them want Jalen Green. They imagine a guard situation with both Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. But because they have Kevin Porter Jr., I don't really think that the Rockets are going to actually take Jalen Green. I think if they stay at 2, they're going to take Mobley. I think there's a better chance of them taking Jalen Suggs, them getting the actual true point guard, and keeping Kevin Porter Jr. at the 2 instead of getting Jalen Green, who I guess you could play at the 1, but I can see them. I can see them in the best situation taking Jalen Suggs. Not saying they're going to take Jalen Suggs, but I can see them taking Jalen Suggs over Jalen Green, because Jalen Suggs is a true point guard and they already have Kevin Porter Jr. But because of that, I can see them wanting Kuminga, a player like Kuminga. And I think that if you offer the 5th pick, the 8th pick, maybe offer somebody like Mo Bamba, maybe even offer somebody, offer some future picks, because you still have the Denver pick in 2024. You still have another pick from Chicago in 2023, and then you still have your own first round picks in 2024 and also in 2023. Not to mention next year, but you can't trade back-to-back year picks and things like that. There's a situation that I would see the Rockets. I'm not saying the Rockets would accept it, but I can see a situation where the Rockets general manager with Rafael Stone be like, man, we trying to go big. What we need to do, we might need to recoup some of these picks, because even though, yes, they got some picks from Brooklyn during the James Harden trade. Remember, they traded away first round assets to the Clippers to get CP3, and also to Oklahoma City to get Westbrook. So they're deployed of talent. So they might want to try to get new young talent in, and they might do that by trying to get a lot of the Magic draft picks, because outside Oklahoma City, the Magic have a plethora of draft picks in the future as well. Like I said, they got 2 picks in 2024, got 2 picks in 2023. So the Magic have a couple of first round picks, also have 2 picks this year. So I can see them being interested, be like, not saying they would accept it, but I can see a situation where you might be able to entice them and intrigue them. You might have to throw a player or two in the mix, like I say, like either Wendell Carter or Mo Bamba, because I can see them wanting a big. That's the reason why I think they're going to take Mobley, even maybe a Terrence Ross or Gary Harris Jr. or something like that, to try to move up to 2 to get a Jalen Green. Now, I do think the Magic's best spot of trading up is number 3 to get number 3 to the Cleveland Cavaliers, because now they have the number 3 pick. Like I said, I think they really want Mobley. I think they hope that Mobley falls. They want the Rockets to take Jalen Green or to take Jalen Suggs, because they want Mobley to fall. I feel like that's who they really want, and I can see the Magic. And if the Rockets do take Mobley, I can see Cleveland really want to move on from there, because I don't think Cleveland wants to guard, because they got Garland, they got Sexton. Even the reports are they're trying to move on from Sexton. I just think those are just reports, because especially since they're at that pick and they can either get a Jalen Green or a Jalen Suggs. So I could definitely see that's why the reports are coming out there like that. They're saying that they're ready to move on from Colin Sexton. Who knows? Maybe if a deal interests them enough, if they get the right assets, I can see them maybe moving on from a Sexton, because they had that 3rd pick in the draft. But I think the Magic could trade the 5th pick, trade the 8th pick. Also, what the Magic can do, because the Magic do have that $17 million trade exception that they got in the Evan Fournier trade to Boston. they could take on a player's contract like Kevin Love. And I know Cleveland would love to dump Kevin Love's salary. They would love to get out of that Kevin Love contract. So I can see the Magic taking on that Kevin Love salary, taking on that Kevin Love contract because they have the 17 million player trade exception. I can see them taking that on in a way to move up to 3 to get a Jalen Green. But I think the Magic will only do this if they know for a fact that the Rockets have already taken or are going to take Mobley or going to take Jalen Suggs. Because I don't think they would do that and the Rockets end up taking Jalen Green and now they stuck with either getting Mobley or Suggs and they could just stay at 5. So I believe that they won't trade. I believe the Magic will not trade that 5th or that 8th pick until draft night. I don't think they pick unless they trade it to the Rockets for 2 or somehow strike a deal and they'll trade to one to Detroit, which I don't think will happen in any circumstance. I think the best chance of them is going to be trading to Cleveland, and I think you won't know that until draft night. So it's going to be one of the situations kind of like when Atlanta drafted Luka. And as soon as they drafted Luka, the report came out, hey, this pick is going to Dallas because Dallas is going to take whoever Atlanta wants. This is going to Dallas. It's going to be a situation like that. It's going to be like you're going to see maybe Cleveland draft a player and they'd be like, hey, this is going to Orlando. Orlando is going to be making the pick for Cleveland when 5 comes. And then also Orlando's going to be making the pick for Cleveland when 8 comes. A situation like that. I think that's the type of situation that you're going to be in because I don't really see them making that trade without knowing that they're going to have the player that they want. I don't think they're going to leave a chance, especially how much you're going to be giving up and also taking back a player's contract like Kevin Love, which, hey, I'm all for if you take. I'm all for you taking Kevin Love. I know people like, well, what Kevin Love gonna play? I don't give a damn Kevin Love come off the bench. And Kevin Love, like, he doesn't care he comes off the bench. He's already got paid. He got a guaranteed contract. He got a ring. He got paid. He's probably would rather be sitting in the beaches of Orlando than be stuck in the colder winter of Cleveland. Like Joakim Noah said, nobody takes a vacation in Cleveland. He'd be perfectly fine being in the great state of Florida, being in Florida, baby, right there by South Beach, no state income tax, all that good weather, beaches, all that type of stuff right there. He's just fine being right there than being stuck in Cleveland, Ohio. He don't care if he's coming off the bench in Orlando because that's probably what he's going to be doing. You're going to be having him come off the bench. Maybe not in the beginning, but as time goes on, he's more likely going to come off the bench when you have somebody like Jonathan Isaac. You have Wendell Carter, hopefully in the situation. You also have somebody like Chuma. He's going to be coming off the bench as a 4. So, unless he wants to play the 5. But saying all that, I think those are the best situations as far as trading because I don't think there's no reason to trade up to 4. There's no real reason to trade up to 4. There's no real reason to trade one spot up unless Jalen Green falls to 4, which I don't think he'll fall to 4. And also, if he does fall to 4, I think Toronto will take him at 4. So let's talk about what the Magic will probably more likely do if they have to be stuck with the 5th and 8th pick. Like I said, when these picks first came out, when the lottery first happened, and we were rewarded with these 2 picks, I was like, man, I was upset. Y'all see my video? I was upset. I was upset about it. I'm like, man, we're gonna be stuck with this. So let's talk about exactly what the Magic gonna do with the 5th pick, with the 5th pick. With the 5th pick in the draft, you have players out there like everybody's mostly talking about Jonathan Kuminga out of the G League Ignite. Also, I've heard names maybe like Sky Barnes, the forward out of Florida State, and also maybe somebody even like a Keon Johnson, another wing player off of Tennessee. Those are the 3 guys that I can see definitely take it at 5. I don't think you take anybody else at 5. Those are the guys, and really Keon Johnson is a fringe. Like I think Keon Johnson is somebody you can get later on in the draft, but I also can see the Magic possibly taking him at 5. I can see the Magic saying, okay, well, maybe Golden State might want him at 6. Golden State might want him at 7, or Oklahoma might want him at 6. So we're going to make sure that we take him. We're not going to just let him stay all the way and hope he falls to 8. We're going to take him right here at 5. So that him on the lesser scale, but mostly it would be more likely as somebody like Sky Barnes or Kuminga. And to be honest, Kuminga is the 5th best prospect in this draft. Kuminga, I mean, his draft age is he's only 18. He won't be 19 until October. So I think the season will start. He'll still be technically 18 to after maybe the first week or so of the season. So you're talking about a player who is 6'7", 220 pounds, a wingspan of 7 feet. A guy who averaged 15.8 points a game, 7.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists. Now he only shot 38% from the field, 24.6 from 3-point, and 62.5 from free throw. His shooting is definitely a concern. But the reason why I say he's a better player and he's a better prospect than somebody like Scotty Barnes and somebody like Keon Johnson is that, for one, Scotty Barnes, he's intensified. He has intensity. He's like he's like a Draymond Green type of player. He's engaged. He has a high motor, but no offensive skills whatsoever. Like, his lack of offense really bothers me. And even though he has intensity, he kind of reminds you kind of like maybe like a Patrick Beverly type, especially on defense, like a defensive pest, like somebody who can definitely just lock on defense. I think he's a lockdown defender, but he doesn't have any offensive skills. He doesn't, like, his offense scares me, shooting and everything. Same thing with Keon Johnson. Keon Johnson is very athletic and can do the same type of things, but his lack of offense is not there. Jonathan Kuminga, even though his problem is shooting, his lack of shooting, but his offense is there. Now, he has a lot of bully ball where he kind of just overpowers somebody, but he does have an offensive presence. He gets it to the ring. He can finish. He's extremely athletic. Like I said, he's only 18. He's not even 19 yet, and already has an NBA body. When you look at him, you say, that's an NBA player. Like, you just look at him, you just see he's just a big NBA player. And he has the attributes and all the physical tools to play defense. One of his weak points about defense is that he's not engaged. Maybe with coaching, I think not. Maybe definitely with coaching. If we had somebody like Steve Clifford, I think he could definitely hone in onto that defensive prowess. I know we're talking about maybe bringing in the one of the scouts. One of the assistant coaches from Denver, West. He's a guy who locks in on defense. Somebody like him maybe could help Kuminga possibly unlock and get into his defensive gauging and be able to be more engaged and more intuitive on defense, more aggressive on defense, be more locked in on defense, and help his defensive skills. So I do think maybe a situation like that possibly could help him. But I just think he's just a better prospect. He's just the best prospect at the 5th spot. There's no other prospect at 5th. I think he's the 5th best prospect in this draft, and I think he has a lot of potential. I know that hurts a lot of people. Potential, the P word, gets a lot of people in trouble because a lot of times you draft up potential and people don't reach that potential. But you can't deny his athleticism. You can't really deny his potential. It's scary. I know what I think during this pro day, I think he shot like 80 something or 60 something percent. No, he was like 60% from 3. And again, that's in a gym by himself. Nobody's playing defense. No pressure. I mean, when you're supposed to make those type of shots. I'm pretty sure you put Ben Simmons in a gym somewhere and let him just shoot. I bet his shooting looks good if he's shooting in a gym somewhere. Now, like I say about football, especially when players want to work on their footwork, will they go back to those same habits when the game starts? When the live bullets are flying, he might work and got new habits and things while he's doing training. It's easy to get those habits going right then and there. But when you're playing in the game and you're in the flow, that body has muscle memory, and you just muscly do other stuff. You can't just always go back to what you've been taught, especially what you've been doing for the past 6 months versus what you've been doing for the past 6 years. So hopefully that what we seen is pro day is something that he can translate onto the NBA field. I mean, on the NBA court. Remember, this is a guy who's 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, playing in the G League, playing against grown men who are hungry to get into the league. And for the most part, he held his own. He held his own for the most part. His percentage shooting-wise wasn't all that, but he held his own. And I think maybe somebody like Markelle Fultz could help him. We were kind of robbed. We didn't get a chance to really see the whole AG and Markelle Fultz dynamic as far as maybe like a Lob City type situation because that lesson the AG has, and then the playmaking skill that Markelle has because Markelle, when we traded for him, ain't really played. Then like the year that Markelle did get to play, it got cut, COVID season cut short. Then also AG got hurt during the bubble. And then this past year, we started off hot. Markelle tears his ACL, so we didn't get to finish seeing it. And then also the season just went to shit. So because of that, we didn't get to see the true AG/Markelle Fultz type of dynamic. The whole Lob City, maybe like a whole Clipper, Chris Paul and Blake Griffin type of dynamic. Maybe we can get that. Maybe we can get there with a player like Kuminga and with a player like Markelle Fultz. My only thing is, if you bring in Kuminga, what do you do with Chuma? Do you slide Chuma over the two? Can Chuma play the two? Does Chuma come off the bench, or does Jonathan Kuminga come off the bench? Because we already know the 4 is going to be Isaac. So is the 3 going to be Chuma, or is the 3 going to be like I said, or is the 3 going to be Jonathan Kuminga? Or we're going to slide? I don't think Kuminga can play the 2. Maybe we can slide Chuma because Chuma can shoot. Maybe we slide Chuma over the 2, or do we put Chuma on the bench, or do we put Kuminga on the bench? That's the whole thing, and I think that's something they're going to have to figure out. But as far as Jonathan Kuminga is the 5th best option. He is the 5th best person for the draft. Now, let's talk about the 8th pick, because this is what I think is where the Magic can definitely earn their money. I seen the mock draft that had us take Wagner out of Michigan. I don't see it. I don't see it. I think there's only 2 options, and really, in my opinion, really one that really stands out. But there's 2 options, and that's Moses Moody out of Arkansas, the shooting guard out of Arkansas, or the point guard Davion Mitchell out of Baylor. In my personal opinion, I think they should go with Moses Moody. I think Moses Moody could end up being the steal of the draft. We know with Jalen Green, and we know with Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham is going to be at 1, 2, or 3, however that shakes out. I believe that Moses Moody, like 4 or 5 years from now, we're going to be looking like, how did Moses Moody fall to wherever he falls to? No matter where, it's going to be like a Donovan Mitchell, like how did he fall all the way, or Devin Booker, like we're seeing now. How did he fall all the way to 13? How did he fall all the way to 15? Wherever Moses Moody falls, I feel like that's where we're going to be at. Wherever he falls at, we're going to be like, how did he fall all the way there? Because people not really saying that with Michael Porter Jr. because we know what the situation was with the whole back injury. Same thing with Steph with the whole knee injury when Steph fell to 8. People knew why these guys fell. People are going to wonder why Moses Moody fell all the way to wherever he falls, and I believe that's the person who the Magic should target. I mean, Moses Moody, he's 6'6", 205 pounds. He has a 7-foot wingspan as well. Average 16.8 points a game, 5.8 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 1 point steal. He averaged shooting 42.7% from the field, 35.8% from 3, and then 81.2% from the free throw line. And I just think that he has the potential to be he has at the very least be a legitimate number 1 option. I believe that he has those type of skill sets. Now, I like Davion Mitchell. My thing about Davion Mitchell is his age. Davion Mitchell is I think he's 20, 22, 23, something like that. I think he's like 22, 23. He's a little bit older, and I don't want him to be, even though he has offensive skills as well. His more situation, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me look at what we got with Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell is he's 6'1", 205 pounds, has a 6'5" wingspan. He averaged 14 points per game, 2.7 rebounds a game, 5.5 assists. He averaged 1.9 steals. He averaged 51.1% from the field, 44.7% from 3, and 64.1% from the free throw line. Now, his free throw is kind of scary, but his 3-point percentage shot up, because I think he averaged like in the low 30s for the last 2 years, and then this past year he just jumped up to averaging 44.7% from the field. Like it just jumped up all of a sudden. Like where did this come from? And I think a lot of people are concerned, is that kind of flukish? Because that's not what he's normally averaging. Then his free throws ain't never jumped up. Now he's a guy who can play good defensively, but like I said, he's kind of a small guy, so kind of remind you of like an Isaiah Thomas type situation. But then also because of his age, is this as good as he's going to get? Does he have potential? And I bring it up because y'all want to bring up a player like Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma looked great his rookie year, but he has never advanced since that because he was an older guy coming out the draft. Basically, Kyle Kuzma is what he is. Kyle Kuzma's not getting any better. Kyle Kuzma's going to stay exactly where he's at because he basically has already reached his peak. He's already developed into the player that he's going to be. Maybe a little bit, like a twinge here and there, a little bit better. Maybe a twinge here and there, a little bit bad. But basically, for all intents and purposes, he's basically the same guy he's going to be. I don't feel that way with Moses Moody. I feel like Moses Moody is going to be a guy who I think, at the very least, his floor is going to be a good 3-and-D player, a solid guy who can come off the bench. hit threes, play defense, because he has a long wingspan, so he's gonna be able to play defense. He's 6'6", he's gonna be able to play defense, and I think that his ceiling, I think he could be a legitimate two guard. I think he could be a legitimate number one scoring option and be a legitimate two guard. The guy can shoot. He can catch and shoot. He can shoot off the dribble. His main thing is that really Arkansas didn't ask him to do much. So when I say we're gonna look back at this 4 or 5 years from now and be like, why didn't he get drafted high? Why he fall? Really, because we didn't see it in Arkansas, because Arkansas didn't ask much of him. He basically did what Arkansas asked him to do. He didn't do any more, any less. What Arkansas asked him to do, that's what he did. And if I'm not mistaken, what they made it to the Final Four. Did they make it to the championship game? I think they made it to the championship game. So, when also Baylor actually won the whole tournament. So when you look at that, when you look at that and you see these two guys, you got a guy who won the championship, you got a guy who made it to the Final Four. When you look at this type of situation, I just think that Moses Moody is just a better guy. I think he's a guy who the Magic should target at 8. I think he'd definitely be there at 8. And if he's not there, then you take somebody like a Davion Mitchell. But I definitely, one of those two guys is going to be there. Ain't no way that those two guys are going to go in between. Both of those guys are going to go 7 and 8. I mean, no, I'm not saying 6 and 7. And if they do, I believe something else happened in the top 4 before we get to Kuminga. So I think there's just open up a whole different type of can of worms, and that's just a whole different just aspect I don't really think or really see happening up to this point. But I do believe that I think that Moses Moody is going to be there at 8, and if he's there at 8, you draft him because you're going to need scoring. You need shooting. This is a guy who can do it. Like I said, at the very least, he could turn to a guy who could be a 3 and D guy off the bench for you. At the very least, that's what he could be. He could be a guy who could play defense, come off, and shoot threes. But if he develops offensively, which I mean not develop offensively, but if you put him into the number 1 role, I can see him being the number 1 scoring option on this team. I believe he's a guy who can average. Especially if you run the ball through him, if you take Markelle and run the ball through him, I believe he's a guy who can put up 20, 22, 23 points a game. I believe he's a guy who can average. Like I think he's a guy who we're going to sit back and look and be like, man, why did this guy fall? Because I don't care what anybody says. I don't care who the Magic is, the head coach. I don't care what the Magic do as far as getting all these type of role players and getting all these type of good defensive guys and doing all this type of stuff. The Magic are not going to do anything successful, anything legitimate, until they have a number 1 scoring option. Look at the NBA playoffs. Every team in the NBA playoffs has a number 1 scoring option, outside of maybe the Knicks. The Knicks, and they have number 1 scoring option, but somebody who really legitimately is a legitimate threat night in and night out. And you seen what happened when the playoffs started, and what you call couldn't do it for the Knicks, and you see what happened to the Knicks. Every team in the NBA playoffs has a number 1 legitimate scoring option. That's something that the Orlando Magic do not have at this point, do not have at this juncture. You can sit there and want it to be Jonathan Isaac all you want to. Jonathan Isaac, he's going to be a great defensive guy. I don't think he's a number 1 scoring option. Maybe Chuma could be that guy. Who knows? Maybe even Cole could be turn to that guy. But I feel like the Magic are going to have to draft that guy in this draft. I want it to be a Cade Cunningham. Not going to be Cade Cunningham. I hope we're able to make a move to get Jalen Green, but that's still kind of wishful thinking. But I think you might be able to, maybe by chance, be able to get somebody and get a rare commodity and get somebody special. And Moses Moody. I think that Moses Moody could be that guy, possibly can be that guy. And I'm rooting for him. I ain't gonna lie, I am rooting for him. But I definitely think that he possibly can be that guy that you could hone in and be, okay, you are my number 1 scoring option. Go get that for me. Yeah, hit the ball. Go get that for me. Like I said, he's a guy who can catch and shoot. He can play defense. He has a long wingspan. We know how the Orlando Magic, how we drafted Mo Bamba, they love somebody with long wingspans. So I definitely think he's a guy. He's not gonna be a liability on defense. So he's gonna be able to play. I think he's a guy. He can catch. He can shoot. Only thing offensively that he doesn't finish. And that might be a concern that he doesn't finish at the rim. But hey, if you have somebody like Chuma, you have somebody like Jonathan Kuminga who can. And like I said, Markelle has advanced and he's gotten better with him finishing, especially coming back from the shoulder injury. I think you're going to be okay. I think you're going to be perfectly fine. As like I said, at the very least, he's a guy who could definitely just be a guy who's a shooter. He's definitely going to be a guy who's definitely be a shooter. But maybe if he turns out to be, I said maybe worst case scenario or best case scenario, if he turns out to be somebody like a Paul George, and we already talked about how Chuma is a baby Kawhi. So just imagine we have baby Kawhi and a baby Paul George. Just and I mean playoff P, not pandemic P. I'm talking about playoff P. If we have somebody like that in in the Moses movie, somebody who's long, who can play defense, and who can shoot. If he can turn out to be somebody like a good Paul George, like a playoff P Paul George, and then you have somebody like Truman who can turn out to be a baby Kawhi for real, and then you have a defensive monster like Jonathan Isaac and a playmaker in Markelle, and then somebody real special coming off the bench and Cole Anthony, and they just have an athletic freak and Jonathan Kuminga. This Orlando Magic team could be dangerous, very dangerous in the next 3, 4, 5 years. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Comment below if you haven't. Click that bell, get more videos. I holla.